Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is Cyrus going on day number, I think, roughly 65 of lockdown here with no access to getting a haircut, as you can probably tell. But I'm managing as best I can. So today's video is about why many people do not want an afterlife to be real, why there's natural resistance, why there's a lot of trying to rationalize away the objective evidence in support of a narrative of either non-existence of an afterlife or a very specific or altered version that makes people the most comfortable, which doesn't seem to be the way it really is. Maybe I've touched on this subject before. I don't know. There's a zillion videos out there I've made now about different subjects, but this was actually there was a comment in the channel that was kind of touching on this, inspired me to do this video. And so before we get started, we talk about subjects like life beyond the grave, spirituality, really where we go when we cross over, the nature of reality. So what this channel is all about, it's not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of cat videos out there if you don't like this kind of stuff. You can always watch PewDiePie. I watch PewDiePie, I like PewDiePie, but sometimes you need to go into the deep end of the pool sometimes. So anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, then please go down and hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video. It helps keep this little thing going. And in addition, if anyone who signs up as a patron, it's always really appreciated. I'll always try to work with you one-on-one if you do, or get you involved in the private group classes and things like that. That's at the Patreon page. And of course, special thank you to the patrons helping make all this possible. So to continue, so basically, I consider myself an afterlife researcher because I've been into this for about, how long has it been now? At least 20 years, right? And during this time, I've read many books. I've looked at many angles of the subject, and then only in the last 6-7 years, I began having lots of really solid personal experiences to back up the research. And then I began writing books, and I published my first book about this back in 2015, and then the next book in 2018. And so the point is that I do consider myself a researcher in this area, right? So there's even if I might not have a PhD in front of my name, but I mean we're kind of in new ground here. It's not this is a new area of science basically. Even though it's been researched and spoken about for at least a couple hundred years, it hasn't broken out. So it's not something. I mean, I suppose you can get a PhD in parapsychology, but let's be real, people don't take that PhD that seriously. What it comes down to is people just trying to figure things out, reporting about information, trying to see how it all fits together. It's what we do in this channel, and there's a lot of resources for anybody else who wants to get involved and start working on that as well, right? So in all this time, what I realized is that there is consistent information that points in a particular direction. So it's actually not inconsistent at all. This area, when you study it a little bit deeper, and especially go into spirit communication and also communications through like astral experiences and things of that nature, what we learn about that other side, it seems to always point in the same direction, similar themes about where you go when you cross over. Okay, so that theme that comes up again and again, one of the big ones, one of the ones I'd always hear again from different spirit communication sources, from personal experiences, anecdotes, but also research and even some level of scientific research, is that when we cross over, we are essentially ourselves. So who you are as a person, your brain stops, your heart stops, and you just shift awareness to a different universe, a different dimension, where you may or may not already have had a life happening on that level. And but there may be a transition point. You leave your body, go through a tunnel. You might encounter a higher self or a higher being, and you might get kind of guided into the proper place that you're supposed to be. So yeah, all those types of experiences, the things you hear about in NDEs, for example. Right. So I don't want to get too redundant here, but where I'm going with this is one of the common things we hear about, that we basically remain ourselves. Now, this is a really big deal. This is something that a lot of people don't want, and it's why there's a lot of people who don't want this information to be real, because it is very disappointing for them. And why is it disappointing? It's kind of human psychology going on here. Yes, there's people who would prefer no afterlife. There's people who maybe really want an afterlife, but they don't want to be disappointed, and so they lash out against it. But there's also people who want an afterlife, but they want it to be a specific kind of afterlife that fits their personal wishes. So people who are new around here, they sometimes conceptualize an afterlife to be what they personally want or desire, which is kind of true. But wasn't there that famous saying, it's like, be careful what you wish for because you may just get it? What people personally want and desire is not always the best possible route or path for them to take. So even that poses a lot of problems. There's a difference between what you want and what you actually need, right? And the afterlife really shows this, because what we've come to understand is that you cross over and you will realize that you might be in an altered state, but you're still you, and often you still have an astral physical body that's literally the body you're in now, just copy and paste onto that side. So you're looking around, it's like, okay, the earth experience is done. I'm now in a new environment, a new world, a new dimension. It kind of looks like where I just was. I have some new abilities, and I can kind of teleport around and talk to people with my mind. This is great. What the heck do I do with my life now? And that's the issue, right? The issue is, what the heck do you do now? You might be like, okay, well, I was 85 years old, and now it looks like I can probably get myself to look like I'm young and healthy again, and that's great. You have a lot of fun, and you get to look young again, and you're super happy, and it's wonderful. But there comes a point where, again, it's like, what do you do next? What's going on in my life? And that's where self-development comes in. That's where philosophy comes in. That's where being service to other people comes in, and that's where having a bigger vision of your life comes in. Problem is that a lot of people in this world don't have those things. They haven't developed philosophies to handle life. They haven't developed kind of spiritual depth, I guess. They kind of go through life in a by the numbers way. And deep down inside, they know that this is not very fulfilling. So ultimately, the point I'm making is that the reason people lash out against an afterlife is because they don't want their life to continue to be this paint by numbers ordeal. They want to either maybe just not exist entirely, or to be ascended up into the heavens and become a god, or become all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient. Or or the Eckhart Tolle afterlife, just merge with the cosmos, and then now you're the cosmos. You're now one with God and one with the infinite creator. Sounds great, but again, the objective research doesn't indicate that this is what happens. Even if you can get to a level of consciousness like this, if you pop some DMT, or I don't know, if you meditate for 20 years on a mountain, whether on this world or the next world, that's not objectively what happens. Objectively what happens is that you continue on that side. And this is disappointing for people, because again, if you've spent your life, you don't break the rules, you just follow everyone else, follow the lead, maybe get some degree, get some job, retire, play golf, have some kids you barely meet anymore, and you go to a retirement home and die, and then on that side you wake up and you're how you were. I don't know, maybe the retirement homes on that side is like where people get born, right? So it's maybe you flip it around, and then you come out of your astral retirement home, look around, okay, new version of the planet, new Earth. Now what do you do with your life, right? Do you just paint by numbers again? But where does it end? What do you do? So those of us who do astral travel, I think Jürgen can agree with this. I would think William Buhlman would definitely agree with this. We see that issue come up again and again on that side, where people are living that paint by numbers life, and they don't know what. It's almost like they're continuing that same issue from here, and they're just waiting for something better. Just like here, we're waiting for something better. Sometimes it's death is the thing we're waiting for, to finally get out of this deal and hope that things are much, much better. But the reality that we cannot escape from is that it seems like we do make our own realities, and we're kind of stuck with our psychologies. You're this God-given essence, which means you have complete responsibility for what your experience in existence is. So trying to hide from the afterlife is not going to make it go away. No matter what, it's like these are the cards that you were given, and you take away everything else that could be holding you back, physical ailments or financial problems, whatever it is. Take all that away, and now you need to figure out a way, given the existence that you're given, that you can create something great or find everlasting peace and happiness, right? And the only way you can do that is you have to have an examined life, right? An unexamined life is not worth living, right? So you have to have an examined life where you are prioritizing these things, and prioritizing whether it's personal liberty and freedom, but also being assistance and love and compassion for other people, while expanding your potential all the time. Like always asking yourself, what am I doing to take my life to the next level? What am I doing? If you're not continually asking that and working toward that, then you can cross over and then just continue the same mundane existence that you've had here. People know this deep down inside, and so they resent or resist all of this information because they don't want to just continue the same boring life that they've been leading. So I guess two main points about this. First main point is that this is why this information will continue to get denied, stopped, or trampled over, misinterpreted, and all that. That's why will continue to be a problem, and it has been, throughout history and in the human species. The second main point is everyone has to really, devote some level of their lives to being aware of their existence, their essence, who they are, what they really love, and creating something bigger and greater for themselves and the world all the time, because that seems to be the only way we can psychologically thrive, is that we have to be able to be expanding like this all the time, pushing ourselves towards something greater. I think that's what we talk about with, quote, spiritual evolution. And this is ultimately how people get access to these so-called higher planes of existence. People think you can just ascend up to that level. Like you hear some new age gurus, or you hear like David Wilcock and some of these guys saying that, we'll all just shoot through the roof and ascend, and then we'll be in some glorious higher dimensional realm. But that higher dimensional realm is actually inside of you. You can get to that higher dimensional realm inside here in this world, or even right now. It's like a state of mind, and the environment matches that. So if you really want to go to, quote, heaven, if you want to be in a supreme, heavenly, sublime, superb existence that is way better than what you've had here, it really is up to you and the work that you do in your life. And if you're struggling with that, I'm willing to bet a big part of that is your level of empathy and compassion for other people. Because if you don't like other people, you don't like other living things, you don't like the world around you, and you're caught up in a negativity spiral, then your life is going to stay on that wavelength. And some people, they have such a difficult time with this that they reincarnate. They come back here. They keep trying. So I don't think that you should have to reincarnate. I think that you need to just change the path you're on, and just be moving towards something greater all the time, and then let this become a more powerful thing than the negativity, to like the misanthropy, or the resentment, or the hatred, or the issues from your childhood. Like it has to just reach a threshold where you won't even put up with any of the old ways anymore. You can only be satisfied with a new way of being, which is empathic, compassionate, and honest, and going toward that higher plane of existence, if you want to call it that. All right, so that's like all I have for today. Probably a lot of thoughts squeezed into one video. I apologize about that, but hopefully this was of some service or benefit to you guys. thanks for watching again, and get involved in the communities on afterlifetopics.com or the Facebook group, or sign up as a Patreon if you want to work with me one-on-one. Thanks everybody for watching. Still getting situated in my new place here in Philippines. Finally got a studio apartment into like a bigger place, and so more space to work, better internet, all that's great for however much longer I'm here stuck. Hope everyone stays safe, safe from all these crazy events in the world. More videos coming up soon, and I'll see you on the next one.